Good morning. Kids were back to school this week, but we never take a break from the news. Today in CityCast Las Vegas, I'm with TheList.Vegas founder Andrew Corrali and my co-host Dayvid Figler, and we're covering Governor Lombardo authorizing the Nevada National Guard to assist ICE, a local funeral home that failed to cremate bodies for up to 10 months, and the Golden Gate Casino removing all live table games. It's Friday, August 15th. I'm Sarah Lohman, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, Dayvid.
Good morning.
Good morning, all.
Hey, Dayvid, actually, before we get to today's conversation, we've got a little favor to ask of our audience. Do you want to tell them more?
Yeah, well, we're doing our annual listener survey, and it'd be really great if people took it, so we could get all that data that will help us make the program a lot better.
That delicious data.
That delicious data. I know a lot of people did it last year, but we would be grateful if they took it again since we can't use last year's information anymore.
Yeah, it's a free, easy thing you can do to help out the pod. It only takes 7 minutes to do the survey, and you take that survey by going to citycast.fm/survey. That's citycast.fm/survey. And not only that, but you will be eligible to win fabulous prizes. Dayvid, tell them what they can win.
Well, if you take that survey now, you're in the running to get a $250 Visa gift card, some amazing CityCast Las Vegas swag, and for one lucky listener, a lifetime supply of turtle wax.
What?
No, just joking about that last one. But you will get the swag and the Visa gift card if your name gets picked. So please do that survey, citycast.fm/survey.
That's citycast.fm/survey. All right, so let's get into our hot headline.
Hot headline.
Thanks, Dayvid.
Sure.
I feel like you've been jonesing to step in on that, so I wanted to give you the chance.
Well, you do it better than I do, but I do have fun doing it. My throat thanks you. I love that look.
Okay, so exciting news, everybody. I am sure that both of you and most of our listeners, if you're alive and living in the Valley, have heard about the debate about the changing noise ordinance in the Arts District. Have you heard? Andrew says yes.
I live right by there, so I've literally heard it.
Basically,
if that makes sense.
They want, all outdoor festivals and music to be done by 10 p.m. every night, whereas currently on the weekends, it can go until 1 a.m.
2 a.m.
2 a.m. See, that's why we love our Arts District. It's a party. But this new ordinance would end the party, and as a lot of local business owners said, would really affect their business. So there was a lot of debate, there were some organized protests, there was a lot online, and the city of Las Vegas has decided that they are not going to pursue a change to the noise ordinance, so the party can party on in the Arts District. A lot of people seem really happy about that.
Although I would direct people to listen to our podcast earlier this week for Night Week, when we interviewed the night mayor of Philadelphia, who said that it had exactly the same issue, but they actually had a more long-term solve. And so,
interesting.
It's kind of an interesting compromise that makes sense for everybody in new development. So I encourage city leaders and people who are interested in this topic to check out our Nighttime Mayor episode earlier this week.
Cool. All right, well, let's get into this week's news. Andrew, so Governor Lombardo has authorized the National Guard to help ICE. He's not the first one to do this, but I'm curious how this is going to affect our state. Can you tell us more?
Yeah, troubling news. Yeah, so this week, Governor Joe Lombardo confirmed that he's in the process of authorizing Nevada's National Guard to support U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, aka ICE, which we all know is kind of like the boot heel of Trump's militarized mass deportation program. So in this scenario, Nevada is joining at least 6 other Republican-led states that have activated or authorized National Guard troops to assist ICE in their deportation campaigns. And I think the details of this are what's really interesting, because perhaps hoping to quell fears of, this idea of federal troops taking over city streets. Lombardo's office and the National Guard are saying, oh, don't worry. it's not as, fashy as it sounds, right? They say this is temporary. They say that, oh, this is just clerical, administrative, and logistical support. They're not, the National Guard's not going to be arresting anybody or doing searches and seizures.
Yeah, these trained troops are apparently doing administrative work. So,
okay. Right. They're, supposedly glorified secretaries. And it's only 35 guardsmen, which is less than 1% of the state's entire National Guard force, which comprises about 4,500 part-time soldiers and airmen. So will this be noticeable? Probably not. But does it show, Lombardo's, kind of flaccid compliance with Trump's increasingly drastic federal control over states under the guise of an immigration crackdown? Hell yes.
Newsweek released a map showing, which states have done the same, authorized National Guard troops or are about to. And basically, name a state with a Republican governor and they're on board or they're about to be. So, Dayvid, I'm curious. I feel like there's this political chess between Republican state governors and the Trump administration. Republicans in general are like, no, we don't like what Trump is doing or who he is, but then they do everything that he says. So is that what's happening here with Lombardo? Is this him? What? Tell me.
It's confusing because there's not a lot of transparency. Look, this is an unprecedented move for the federal government, the president in particular, to want to activate military, because National Guard is military, and use them for purposes that they don't typically get used for. So, look, when we think of the National Guard, we think them helping people with natural disasters or, if there is massive unrest to kind of calm things down. More or less kind of like the saviors to help out when people are hurting. And so to use them for a president's internal domestic mission sets a little weird. I mean, we have a little over 4,000 National Guard troops in Nevada. Technically, the governor is their commander-in-chief. There's been a lot of maneuvering, like this political chess of how we can, use our military against our own people in our communities. One way to do that is to get a governor to just say, it's okay. But, the governor could also say no. And the governor could also say, well, explain to me why there is a need, not just for the National Guard to commit this, to conduct this mission, but why this mission in my state is even necessary. And that's kind of the answer to your question, Sarah, is that these Republican governors are not challenging the mission. They aren't challenging the need to utilize these guards. And why do you need militarily trained troops to do paperwork? I mean, it's very odd. They're already repurposing FEMA people and other government officials. Why do you need militarized people doing paperwork? I mean, this is my rifle, this is my pen, this is for business, and this is to help assist the deportation of my neighbors who have not committed any crimes and who have been paying taxes. And it's not a very good rhyme.
I mean, this is how it starts, right? And the phrase political chess almost ascribes too much sophistication to the regime. And I think it's just that Republican governors are utterly pliant with fear about stoking Trump's wrath that can result in, withholding federal funds or political revenge. And so, and again, the National Guard says, oh, it's just clerical work, right? But use pick your metaphor, right? This is the toothpaste out of the tube, the genie out of the bottle, the slippery slope, right? With these moves, the Trump administration is starting to normalize the use of federal forces on, in domestic, scenarios under the pretext of a, immigration invasion emergency or whatever they're calling it. And so, where do we go from here? It's only going to scale up.
Yeah, so that actually brings me to my next question. So, to be clear, ICE is a federal agency. This isn't, the National Guard is not coming in to help a local law enforcement. This is federal, but it does feel like there are implications of bringing the military, of which the National Guard is a part, into ICE enforcement happening on a local level. What are your thoughts on that, Andrew?
Yeah. So, one phrase I see that keeps popping up is posse comitatus. Posse comitatus. And,
don't say three times. Because then
exactly.
an old West posse shows up with a rope ready to string you up, you liberal.
That is
Right.
really
So,
silly.
so it's funny you say that because people keep saying posse comitatus like it's like
he did it!
So they keep saying it like it's like this Harry Potter spell that will magically make the federal troops disappear, right? And so this law, this provision prohibits, technically prohibits federal forces from participating in civilian law enforcement activities, unless it's authorized by Congress. But there are limitations, there are exceptions. And given, Trump's increasing control over the courts, I don't think invoking posse comitatus is going to do much. And so it's again, this is how it starts.
Well, I am looking forward to the string of posse comitatus labubus.
Dayvid, you don't know what a labubu is. You can't fool people. It's fine. So, Dayvid, we have this law that says that the military can't be used against Americans without this, and this happening, right? Why?
Well, without the governor's consent, it's a lot harder. But once the governor says, yeah, your mission is true. But this is a weird non-flex by Lombardo to not even challenge it. I understand. He's fearful of being, continually dubbed a sanctuary state. Like the word sanctuary has now become a bad word, which also that's a whole nother topic. But,
my question is, why would this law exist?
Oh, well, it was very easy. Let's go back to the founders who were like, we don't want to have the military be utilized for oppressive purposes against our own citizens unless there's a gosh darn really good reason. And that reason has to have all these different checks and balances. And look, people don't know all the I was going to say the 10 Commandments, the original Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows the First Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, a couple others. But, there's an amendment in there that's like, you shall not be forced to quarter soldiers and stuff. There is a concern from the founders forward that, like the British used their military in really bad ways against the colonists, that the government of America would not use its troops against the citizens in unprecedented or bad ways. And this really is pushing an envelope. And with no pushback from the governor, now we're all like, wait, what is happening next? I mean, everyone, talks about a slippery slope. This is a slippery dive into the authoritarianism that was never intended for this country. I mean, I've seen a meme right now that is blowing my mind where, you have the right to assemble militias to, fight against tyranny.
Authoritarianism,
But the meme is, Second Amendment rights advocates are excited that the militias can be activated when they see tyranny to jump in and join them, put on masks and help them do the mission. And so, right now, I think Lombardo owes this state a thorough explanation why any troops, 1% or otherwise, administrative or otherwise, are just being permitted to be part of this without there being a real justification why our state needs to do it.
I like how you identified this weird flip-flopping that's happening, because it's really funny to me, because remember back in the day, all the right-wing states' rights, New World Order conspiracy theorists, they used to squawk about
anti-government.
The grim prospect of jackbooted thugs taking over American streets. I mean, this was your typical Sunday editorial in the Review Journal. Well, this is that. And where are those brave conspiracy theorists now? They're cheering this stuff on in the comment section of Fox News. And so, it's really alarming, because the people who were supposedly against it are now, slavishly for it.
Not only that, Andrew, but if I might just really quickly, they used to say, well, we don't trust the government. And here they're going, well, the government says these are all illegals who don't belong here, so we trust that they don't need due process. We trust the government to just grab people off the street because they wouldn't pick the wrong people. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, until one of their friends or family members gets grabbed, which is also happening.
Yes, Sarah.
Yeah.
How many videos have you shared already? There's people regretting, I didn't know this would happen to me. And then they play...
Whose wife, who's also a veteran, is now in detention. I didn't
think the Jaguar would eat my face.
Yeah. I mean, it almost seems like it has to do with race, whether you support the government or not. All right. Well, we will see what happens. And to all of our proud National Guard members, I hope you enjoy the paperwork.
Hey, Las Vegas, ever look for a sign of what to do? Well, here's one, literally. The Neon Museum is offering a limited-time deal just for Nevada residents. 50% off admission to one of the most iconic must-see spots in the city. That's right, half off to explore Vegas history through the glow of vintage neon signs. Just swing by the box office, show your Nevada ID, and you're in. No promo codes, no online hoops to jump through, just a classic local appreciation deal. Make it a night with friends, bring visiting family, or finally check it off your Vegas bucket list. Visit the Neon Museum and let the lights of old Vegas shine for you. Now, this dazzling deal won't last forever, so grab your tickets now and experience the glow before it's gone. Again, to apply the discount, just bring your Nevada State ID card to the Neon Museum and purchase your ticket at the door. To learn more, visit neonmuseum.org. One ticket per valid ID.
Got any fun trips coming up? One thing you probably haven't put on your packing list is learning the language. But with Babbel, you can start talking in just a few weeks. I'm Dayvid Plotz, the CEO of CityCast, and I've been learning Spanish with Babbel. And I also just persuaded my friend who's going to France this fall to learn French with Babbel, but that is another story. Babbel's extremely fun and intuitive. It's like having a private tutor in your pocket. Handcrafted by over 200 language experts, Babbel's lessons are voiced by real native speakers and built with science-backed cognitive tools and interactive features to fit any learning style. I love a lot of the different Babbel features. The Babbel games for sentence building, Babbel speech recognition, which helps me get the pronunciation right. And now I'm really into Babbel's word of the day, which greets me on the homepage of the app. Every day, a new word revealed like a little surprise with a sentence to help contextualize it. It's like a daily treat for me. Studies from Yale, Michigan State, and other leading universities continue to prove that Babbel works. One study found that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a full semester at college. Look, I want you to learn another language. So I'm teaming up with Babbel to gift you 55% off subscriptions, but only for CityCast listeners at babbel.com/CityCast. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/CityCast. Spelled BABBEL.com/CityCast. Babbel.com/CityCast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
So we're moving on to a bummer of a complicated story. So please stay with me, gentlemen.
We trust you, Sarah.
Thank you. Via reporting from Emerson Drews at the LVRJ, a funeral home has been keeping bodies for over 10 months in some cases before cremating them. And this is a problem. Let me tell you why. So the Nevada State Board of Funeral and Cemetery Services has revoked the license of McDermott's funeral home, not owned by the McDermott family any longer, by the way, last week after alleging that it had not cremated or properly disposed of 8 bodies within, quote unquote, a reasonable period of time, that they failed to file death records within the required number of days, and in one case did not initiate a death record at all. So records show that one body was kept at the funeral home for over 10 months before being cremated. Apparently, at the time of the shutdown of the McDermott funeral home, there were 8 bodies awaiting cremation. So the owner is Chris Grant, and he said the cremation process for the 8 bodies took so long because he was waiting for approvals from Clark County Social Services, which steps in when family members do not come forward, when they abandon the body, or when they can't pay for services. So in such cases, the agency pays Grant for the services rather than a relative. The state funeral board, after 2 inspections in 2023 and early 2024, says that remains were held in refrigeration units for anywhere from 2 months to over 10 months after cremation was authorized. That's what this complaint against the funeral home alleges. And that the funeral home did not file death records within the required 72 hours, in one case filing 82 days after receiving the body. And just to be clear, these aren't John Does and Jane Does. Like, the Las Vegas Review-Journal reached out to relatives of the deceased one family member said, I didn't know any of this. This is tripping me out. It took them over a year to even get back to me, and then I didn't hear anything else. The brother of a deceased veteran says he was not contacted until February 2024 about his sister remains when she had passed away in May of 2023. He said, I was pretty shocked to find out that my sister had not been cremated. So in a final really gruesome note to this, right next door, there's a screen printing business, and they noticed this horrible smell in their darkroom, which at first they were like, is this our chemicals? Is this the neighbor funeral home chemicals?
I mean, not to make too much light, but I thought you were going to say next door was a Dairy Queen. Or something like that. But
no, it was, a chemically space. But basically he said he brought over his friend that was an EMT, and he's like, that is the smell of death. And I know the owner of the screen printing business went next door, and the funeral home director was like, oh, no, we keep them on ice. So like, this is a very like grotesque, like what is actually going on moment at the end of this. So here's what I'm curious about. Does this reflect like broader trends in social services and happy, healthy living in Las Vegas today?
One piece of the story that was interesting to me was the role that Clark County Social Services plays in the situation where, the body can't be claimed or the family can't afford the services, and the role they play in like expediting the process, because obviously you have to process these bodies in a timely manner,
right?
And
usually in days,
and so I'm not relieving McDermott of any responsibility, but I thought that was interesting how there was this tension between Clark County Social Services' apparent reluctance or slowness in processing some of those claims, and what role that might play. What role? I'm wondering. How well resourced is Clark County Social Services? Are they underfunded? Are they understaffed? So I thought that was maybe an underreported factor that might shed some light on what else was going on.
And that's Grant's allegation that like these bodies, these remains were sitting around because he was waiting on that authorization. Yeah,
he blames the red tape. The bureaucracy.
Red tape. Yeah.
Look, there's always going to be a question of whether or not government services or social services or necessary services in our community are funded enough in a state that doesn't have personal income tax, in a state that, has a very serious cap on property taxes. I mean, in other states, these funds are raised for these very purposes, supervision, regulation, inspection, etc. Like, how is this funeral home not been inspected on a regular, to make sure, especially if they've had complaints in the past? I think the bottom line here, though, in answer to your question about sort of the bigger Vegas trends or picture, is that, Las Vegas grew so fast, and all the various agencies have traditionally been siloed. They just do their own thing, but it's always holistic. Everything is connected in our community, and people tend to forget that. So when we have record number of deaths because of heat last year, and this year is going to be rough as well, like all those people also need to be transported when they're found. And most of them, I would imagine, though we don't really delve into the statistics, were very poor and probably didn't have burial plans or cremation plans, and so now it is fallen to either relatives or government officials to figure out what to do with the bodies and who pays for that. Sometimes it's just a lack of
planning, though. To be fair, we don't know anything about like the financial status of.
No, we don't know.
People.
But I'm just saying, as a bigger holistic picture, like everything's connected, including end of life. And, we don't talk about the front end stuff enough. We're certainly not looking very closely at this back end stuff when stories like this come up. And Sarah, this is not the first time that the mishandling of bodies has come up as a news story in the last few years. It is something that, unfortunately, is going to happen when you don't have everybody talking to everybody about how things, work best for a community that suffers from a lot of deficiencies when it comes to public services because of, money and taxing options and things like that. It's hard. It's hard, and you're going to have these problems come up. Again, not to excuse the funeral parlor, but yeah.
Yeah, I like your focus on the sort of the holism of the system. It's like we need less Hakuna, more Matata in the circle of life. Was that? No.
I don't know what that means, but I sign on.
I was like, which one is Hakuna, which one's
petition.
Matata?
Isn't that a circle of life song?
No, I got that part. I just didn't. You lost me after that, but because I adore you, I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right,
I'm with you, Andrew. I am. As you both brought up, I'm curious to hear from Clark County. I'm curious to hear from other funeral homes if this is really an issue, because, of course, at the moment, we don't know of any other funeral homes going through this. There is one more sus element I want to throw in here. The owner of the funeral home, Chris Grant, did comment, and he told the LVRGA reporter, "Nobody thinks that me and my staff lost everything. I just lost a 25-year career. I just lost a business that I've been building for 8.5 years. I just lost the ability to even provide for my family." No apology, no admission of wrongdoing, no. Yeah. It was all about him rather than the families.
Little sociopathic.
He's going to turn a funeral home into an Airbnb because, he just needs to make ends meet. It's a property he owns.
Oh, man.
The word heir just takes on different implications in that situation.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't have very good executive functioning skills, but when you're dealing with human remains, who knows? But I am curious to see how the story develops. Let's move on to an interesting development in Old Town, Las Vegas on Fremont Street. Dayvid, the Golden Gate just announced that they are removing all live dealer tables. No more people games.
People run games. Yeah.
People run games.
So famously, the Golden Gate is one of the oldest continuously operating casinos around. It's down on Fremont Street, right there on the corner. They had the first telephone.
They are the ones that started shrimp cocktail as a bargain Vegas thing. That was them.
Yes. And we have done many episodes here about Las Vegas history, and the Golden Gate always prominently shows up because it is so old.
So old. 1906? 3? Old.
Somewhere around there. I mean, it's gone under a bunch of different names. It didn't start out as a casino, et cetera, et cetera. The Golden Gate is a very older property, and they have gone under some glow-ups over the years, but none more spectacular than when the Brandenburgs were first joined by and then bought out by Derek Stevens, who people know as sort of the Pope of Fremont Street in a lot of ways. I mean, between the D, Circa, and also the Golden Gate and his sports betting enterprise, he's definitely injected himself into the gaming discussion. And
the Pope of Fremont Street?
The Pope of Fremont Street, maybe?
Sure.
Any rate. So, the Golden Gate table games probably don't generate a lot of revenue. And we're really just talking about primarily blackjack, roulette, and craps.
Not poker?
No, they haven't had a poker room at the Golden Gate, in my knowledge.
Interesting.
Not even poker tables?
I don't think they ever had poker tables there.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Now, I might be wrong, and I'm sure Vintage Vegas or someone else is going to correct me. But
send us an email. You know how to find us.
Yes. In recent history, there's not been a poker table at the Golden Gate.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, as my wife would say, too late. They are getting rid of all of the table games. It was announced that they're going to put in the giant electronic versions of that, which just take up the whole pit area, which is what that area is typically called. And it's just going to be, techno central with those big ass machines and the virtual dealers and all that stuff. So everybody has a little station they could play. And look, they are attempting, because they still at the other Derek Stevens properties have live table games, so they're trying to place everyone there, which is a very nice thing. But this is what Derek Stevens does. He sort of has rethought or reimagined the sports book, and their sports book at Circa is very unlike any that came before it. It has bottle service in it. Yeah, I mean, it surrounds an entire pool area as well. So he's really a disruptor, and we'll see if this works out or not. But it is, to me, a little sad to lose that sort of classic old Vegas live dealer interaction. But this is a business decision.
And of course, it's just one casino at this point, but I think we're wondering if this might be a sea change. Andrew, do we lose something? Does a casino lose something in its vibe if they don't have a live table game?
I would say yes, they definitely lose a vibe. And I think we all love, we all hold on to that, that glow of classic Vegas that's fast disappearing. But I think that, it's sad, but Derek Stevens is probably, he's counting the beans, right? And he's also got his finger on a pulse, on the pulse of generational change, right? And this new breed of immersive video game style slot machines based on pop culture, celebrities, TV shows, game shows, movies. That's what the new generations of gamblers want. Gen X, millennials, and whatever generations come after that.
It?
And so,
I'm a millennial.
I think so, yeah.
I don't want it.
I love them. I love them.
You love them.
I still love the old games, but they appeal to the part of me that loved the Atari 2600 and the Commodore 64 and the Xbox. And so, but I think it's going to even go further. And I think we're going to see. I predict in the next few years there are going to be like these slot machines that are themed not just after movies that everybody knows, but you're going to see YouTube stars. I bet you're going to see
that's already
Mr.
started.
Beast, slot
that's
machine.
already started, Andrew.
Who?
There was a time about 3 years ago when they introduced a bunch of Brian Christopher slots at the plaza.
As a slots influencer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's say that this is the future. A lot of the table games that are now electronic do have like an animated dealer in the middle. So let's imagine that pretty shortly, they can license images and there's going to be like an AI hologram avatar dealer. So if you could pick any one person, dead or alive, to deal blackjack at your table, who would you want to do it?
All right. So I want an actor in one of his roles who is dead. So I'm going for the hat trick here of who it's going to be. There was the original Westworld film. Okay. So Westworld got remade as a HBO series about a community where entertainment was provided by robots. And Yul Brynner played the main bad guy
that's
in
right. The crazy
Westworld.
robot.
Right. And he would always malfunction and challenge people to a gunfight. And he would just go up, draw. And he was malfunctioning. He would shoot the tourist.
That's good, Dayvid.
I don't want tourists to be shot because this is actually going to be on a digital. I want to see the Yul Brynner malfunctioning robot tell people when they're playing blackjack, draw. And it'd be really funny. And then people can
really good,
go to
Dayvid.
26.
I'm going to give you credit for that.
I thought it was a little convoluted and I had to explain it too much.
That is so
you brought
richly layered. I can't even.
Richly layered, not convoluted.
Yeah. And meta. But I think, but I'm excited because I think Sarah, you've actually saved Las Vegas with this idea, right? Because this could be a whole new revenue stream for Vegas where companies pay licensing fees to have their virtual avatars host and deal casino games. Anybody who's appearing at the Sphere could be dealing blackjack, poker, Backstreet Boys, Lady
Don
Gaga.
Henley. Don Henley just gave me a blackjack.
Yeah, exactly. Well, alive or dead. Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson. So,
You'll probably get a lot of Rat Pack, a lot of Elvis too, but sure.
Yeah. I think it would be funny to take a sort of a digitized, dead, interesting person of somewhat obscure vintage.
Abraham Lincoln.
And I was thinking like Jane Austen. What would it be like to have her deal blackjack or poker? Or
this is the second week in a row that maybe third that I'm weirdly on the same page as one of our guests, because you know who I was thinking immediately? Emily Dickinson.
Oh, I was going to say. Yeah, exactly.
Emily Dickinson up in there. Well, good.
And there'd be a little poem that would come with every hand.
Yeah, and you know what? She was kind of a shut-in, so it'd be nice to see her out and about having a good time,
Well, then I want Dorothy Parker. I want a sassy. I want Dorothy Parker or even Mae West.
Well, in the future, you can. You can have anyone you want. Even
the future is now.
A host or guest of CityCast Las Vegas. Imagine it.
Oh my gosh, the Sarah Lohman poker table, the Sarah Lohman roulette wheel.
So sassy.
I'm in.
Well, gents, thank you so much for another fun Friday.
Thank you.
Oh, Vegas. Always. We're here for you.
And before we go, I just want to thank our newest neighbors. That's our membership program. I just want to say hi to Andrew D, Jimmy S, Sandra or Sandra A, Aurelie LG, Joanne Z, Stephen D, Amber K, Alicia C, Tammy P, and Julia D. And you too can become a neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. And that's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. Our executive producer is Sonia Cho Swanson. Our producer is Layla Muhammad. And our roving producers this week were Selena Say Reynolds and Elizabeth Kama. Our newsletter editor is Rob Katchel-Reese, and our hosts are Dayvid Figler and me, Sarah Lohman. Music is by OG Moose, Epidemic Sound, and All the Kimonos. We record this show on the traditional homelands of the Nawuvi, the Southern Paiute people. And if you enjoyed this show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Las Vegas. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Take care. Wait, hang on. Lost my question because I'm thinking about Labubu's now.